wake up heavier than yesterday, not in pounds exactly, but in pressure. Your joints resist movement, your belly feels distended, your back aches from another restless night. You shuffle toward the mirror. The face looking back at you is tired. There's a sag not only in your cheeks, but in your spirit. You whisper to yourself, I don't feel like myself anymore. You've tried walking. You've tried skipping meals. You've bought the expensive teas and the promise-packed powders. But something deep down tells you, it shouldn't be this hard just to feel like you. That's how Eleanor felt. 75 years old, a former nurse, a proud grandmother, someone who once walked 5 miles without blinking. Now she'd walk 10 steps and need to sit. Her belly, once flat and firm, now hung like an unwelcome badge of defeat. She blamed gravity, hormones, time. She thought maybe it was just her metabolism slowing down. That's what the doctor said after all. But late one night, lying in bed with a heat pack pressed against her lower back and sleep stubbornly avoiding her, she whispered a question to herself. What if my body still wants to heal, but I've stopped listening? That was the night everything changed. Earlier that day, her neighbor, Margot, a woman in her 60s with surprising pep in her step, dropped off a mason jar filled with a deep golden liquid. Steam curled out of it gently, like it knew it carried something sacred. Drink this before bed, Margot said. Don't ask questions. Just trust me for one night. Eleanor raised an eyebrow, sniffed the warm drink, and caught notes of spice and citrus and something comforting. Maybe desperation makes us open to small miracles. She drank it, slowly, curiously. She slept, not deeply, not dreamlessly, but differently. Her stomach didn't gurgle. Her hands weren't stiff when she reached for her glasses in the morning. She didn't need to sit on the edge of the bed for 5 minutes before standing. Something subtle had shifted. One night, one drink. She asked Margot for the recipe. Here's what Margot handed her on a note card. Warm water, a slice of fresh ginger, half a teaspoon of cinnamon, a pinch of turmeric, the juice of half a lemon, and a teaspoon of raw honey. Let it steep for 5 minutes. Sip before bed. Don't rush it. Eleanor did it the next night. And the next. By night 4, she noticed her pants weren't as snug. By night 6, she realized she hadn't had that usual 2 a.m. sugar craving. By night 10, she stood longer, walked further, smiled wider. Not because of a number on a scale, but because her body had started talking to her again, and this time she was listening. Why did it work? Because what we call belly fat is often something more complex. Inflammation, cortisol overload, blood sugar instability, digestive slowdown. When we age, our organs don't shut down like people say. They just wait for better instructions. This drink was instruction in a cup. Ginger warmed up Eleanor's circulation and digestion, encouraging enzymes that had gotten sluggish over the years. Cinnamon stabilized her blood sugar overnight, which helped her avoid insulin spikes that push fat straight to the belly. Turmeric soothed inflammation around her joints and gut, where bloating often hides under the name fat. Lemon gently cleansed her liver and nudged her metabolism awake. And honey in its raw form wasn't just sweetness. It was gut-calming, antioxidant-rich support that made her sleep deeper, her cells repair more fully. But here's the thing. It wasn't just the drink. It was the ritual, the act of preparing something nourishing, the anticipation, the way she cupped her hands around the mug, the way it slowed her thoughts, uncoiled her stress. Her nervous system began calming down. Her cortisol levels, those stubborn fat-hoarding hormones, lowered. Her sleep improved. And sleep, for seniors especially, is fat loss's secret door. Because when you sleep better, your body repairs better. When you rest fully, your hunger hormones reset. When your brain isn't foggy from poor sleep, you make better choices. And Eleanor's belly started to soften, not just physically, but emotionally. That burden she carried of failure, of fatigue, of thinking she'd let herself go, it lightened. Within 3 weeks, Eleanor had more than results. She had momentum. She added one more habit, 5 minutes of slow stretching before bed. Not yoga, not cardio, just simple opening movements, ankle circles, shoulder rolls, cat-cow. She followed it with her drink. She called it her closing ceremony. Her body, now prepped and relaxed, responded with joy. Then she added another piece, journaling, just one line a night. Today, my knees felt stronger. Today, I walked further. Today, I laughed. That combination, movement, mindfulness, the magic drink, began to transform her not just physically, but entirely. So here we are. One warm drink, one small decision, and already something's different. Not just in the way your body feels, but in how you speak to it. Because let's be honest, many seniors go years without really speaking kindly to their bodies. You begin to see your reflection as something that's slipping. You measure yourself in terms of what you've lost: flexibility, firmness, youth. But what if your body never stopped listening? What if it's been waiting all this time for a signal? Meet Ruth, 81, widowed, grandmother of 9, lover of piano, books, and once upon a time, dance. She hadn't danced in years. Her knees ached too much. Her lower back felt fused. But it wasn't just the physical loss that hurt. It was that she no longer recognized the woman in her own skin. She told her daughter one afternoon, "I feel like I'm disappearing." Her daughter, kind but firm, said, "Then let's bring you back." And that night she introduced Ruth to the drink. She made it for her. Thin ginger coins dancing in hot water, cinnamon flicking into a swirl, turmeric powder forming constellations, lemon brightening the surface, honey pooling like golden silk. They sipped together. It was more than warm liquid. It was an inheritance, a ritual being passed down. That night Ruth slept through till morning. No pain, no cramping, no endless tossing. By week 2, something returned. Not something she could measure in inches or pounds. Something softer, her hum. She started humming again while she folded laundry. She tapped her foot gently as she watched the birds outside. She wasn't dancing, not yet, but something in her body remembered rhythm. And then came the moment. 3 weeks in. Music played faintly from the radio. Ruth stood, took 2 slow steps, and let her body sway. Just a little. She laughed, alone in her kitchen, and said, "I'm still here." Now let me pause you for a moment, because maybe you're thinking, this is sweet, but how does this really melt belly fat? Let's talk physiology. You see, when you hit 60, 65, 70 plus, your body experiences a natural hormonal change. Less estrogen or testosterone, slower thyroid response, more insulin resistance. That doesn't just affect your waistline, it affects your sleep, your cravings, your inflammation levels, even your mood. But here's the secret, it doesn't mean you're stuck. What the ginger, turmeric, lemon, cinnamon, honey drink does is interrupt the inflammation hormone insulin spiral that causes fat accumulation. You're not fighting calories. You're soothing systems. You're helping your liver process fats again. You're calming your digestive tract so your gut doesn't think it's under attack. You're helping your pancreas release insulin more efficiently, which stops fat storage and supports energy. That's why so many seniors report that after just a week of the nightly ritual, their digestion improves. They feel less bloated. They lose that hard belly that feels like armor. Because it is armor. Against stress, against imbalance, against chaos. There's more. Once the ritual takes root, other rituals begin to grow. You may find yourself reaching for lighter meals in the evening. You may take a walk after dinner, not a march, just a stroll. You may notice that you sleep deeper, and when you do, your cortisol levels drop. And when cortisol drops, belly fat has nothing to cling to. It's like a domino effect. Let me tell you about Walter. Walter was 73 and, by his own admission, grumpy as hell. He didn't believe in rituals or recipes. He believed in bacon, brisket, and keeping his gut hidden under oversized flannel. But his wife, Marianne, began her nightly drink, and after 2 weeks, Walter noticed something strange. She was sleeping better. Her eyes looked clearer. She smiled more. That annoyed him, honestly. So he asked, "What are you doing that I'm not?" She handed him a mug. He sniffed it like it might bite. Then he drank it. "Not bad," he said. He drank it again the next night, and the next. 3 days later, Walter said something shocking at breakfast. "I didn't get up to pee last night." A week in, he asked if they could add a splash of clove. He'd read online it helped with blood sugar. Marianne raised an eyebrow. Who are you and what have you done with my husband? Week 3, Walter was walking laps in the backyard. He'd lost 4 pounds of stubborn belly. But more than that, he'd found purpose. Not in the drink, but in what it gave back to him. Agency. Now imagine what it would feel like to touch your stomach and feel ease, not resistance. To sit in a chair without adjusting. To bend forward to tie your shoe without holding your breath. These aren't pipe dreams. These are possibilities. If you decide to treat your body like something still worth tending, it's not about perfection, it's about patterns.